Alright guys, so I hope you're doing fine as always. In today's video we will have a look at my trades on this River USDT coin. For those of you in the Discord server, you know I've been trading this River coin lately. I did take a total of 7 short trades on this coin. Maybe in the next coming days or weeks I will take some more. We'll see, but in this video we'll have a look at why I took the trades, what was the idea behind the trades, and specifically how the funding rates determined that I wanted to go short on these coins. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. Alright, so this is the third time I'm recording this. The first 2 times it looked a bit messy to me, so let's just keep it a bit more broader. Just have a look at why I entered all these trades, but I won't go into every single trade separately. Again, with TPs, stop losses, etc. If you want to see that, it's all in the Discord server in the win section. There you have a cleaner look on the screenshots of the trade, the TPs, the stop losses, etc. So first things first, let's have a look at the bigger time frames on how this coin came on my radar. We can see it was pretty much not doing much, but then started pushing exponentially, clearing its all-time high, at least on the Bybit chart. This is when it was in the top gainers and it started gaining my attention. I saw it in the top gainers, so I was interested in looking for short positions, as I do love shorting the top gainer coins. So back on the smaller time frames, let's zoom in. Knowing they just cleared the all-time highs right here. If I then pull up the funding rate history, we're sitting here on the 31st of December 2025 at 11 p.m. Yes, I was about to leave for a New Year's party, but saw the high funding fee, so quickly jumped on my charts and jumped in a short position. Reason, we're sitting at an all-time high. We have funding fees of -2%, which is the maximum for this coin. So if you remember the video on funding fees, we know if price is sitting on a high and we have extremely high funding fees, people that are shorting this coin here, for example, they're covering or trying to cover for their position. But when this timer hits 0, they have to pay 2% of their position size to long position holders. So that's on the position size. So keep in mind, if you're on 10x leverage, it's already 20% ROI you have to pay, for example. So people are getting liquidated based on funding fees. So we expect once the funding fees hit, that we will see somewhat of a catalyst in an aggressive move down. These can act as catalysts. We can pretty confidently say that the exact moment this timer hits 0, so exactly 11 p.m., we'll see a red candle down. This candle can of course be reversed, but the exact moment this timer hits 0, it's 99.99% sure that this is going to print a candle down. That candle we then hope to be a catalyst to continue a bigger move. I hope that's somewhat understandable, as this is the concept that we use for pretty much all the trades except one in this River coin. So to recap, sitting at an all-time high, extremely high funding fees, we hope this can act as a catalyst to then have an aggressive pullback. You could ask yourself why not enter here at the 10 p.m. trade or 9 p.m. trade. Simply I wasn't on the chart back then. This was New Year Eve, so I was preparing to go out. So yeah, I only saw it quickly on the app, jumped on my chart, entered the trade and went out for New Year. So we can then look at the second trade. What do we see? After the TP, they pushed up again. Here I was sleeping, but again, high retrace, pushing up again. So we know we're sitting at a new all-time high again. If I pull up the funding fees, you can see right here at 8 p.m. they were at minus 1.56%. It isn't quite a 2% of maximum funding fees, but nevertheless we were at an all-time high. I saw the funding fees run up, so I was kinda expecting a move down, so I jumped in maybe a bit too early, I have to admit. I'm also not perfect, guys, so I also sometimes jump in trades too early. But principle, exact same thing, sitting at an all-time high. Saw high funding fees, jumped in the short right after this hit zero, so I didn't have to pay these funding fees. I was hoping this candle, like we see again, red candle down, could become the catalyst to push prices back down. So we see, okay, we did print a red candle exactly when the funding fees hit, but they pushed it back up. So I got stuck in this trade for a little bit. You can see the funding fees also pushed up. I had to pay these, which were painful, I have to admit, but that's the risk you take. You have to take that into account. I did have a stop loss in place, so I didn't care too much. Nevertheless, the funding fees add on top of that, so it's a dangerous game, high risk, high reward. But we saw finally a cool off to then make the pullback. Here I got very lucky on my TP, pretty much perfect TP. For them another push back up. Again, the exact entry levels, TP, stop losses, etc. and the screenshot of the trade are in the Discord server. So next trade, number 3, we saw prices pushed up again. We're again sitting at a new all-time high. So you see the pattern, new all-time high. If I pull up the funding fees, here on the 5th of January, 7 p.m., 5th of January, 7 p.m., sitting at minus 2% again. So remember the pattern we just spoke about, all-time high, high funding fees. This is maximum funding fees. So I did enter the short 1 second after this timer hit 0, so I didn't have to pay the 2%. In the expectation, this will print a red candle down, and in the hope that this acts as a catalyst to continue a stronger move down, which in this case was the exact candle that started the strong move down. Yet here again, I had to pay a few funding fees, but that's what you take into account. As long as your TP covers that with a nice profit on top, it's all fine. Once again, recap, all-time high, high funding fees, entering the short 1 second after the funding fees hit 0, in the expectance that the candle down will act as a catalyst. So we got our TP, we saw prices pushed back up. I had a quick scalp here, was just a 2R. I won't go over this one. This is the exact same scenario, all-time high. Not the clearest all-time high, as this was an equal high, or only just cleared, but it was a quick scalp. I will have to zoom in too much to show this trade, so we will just skip it. Just know it was exact same scenario, all-time high, high funding fees, just a 2R scalp. I didn't look for a strong retrace there, just because this high was not as clear as I would have liked. This was more of an equal high than a new all-time high or local high. Now we have this very long trade right here, which is the only exception in this 7 trade sequence. Meaning, yes, we're sitting at an all-time high, we cleared a nice high. But if we look at the funding fees, they were not extremely high. Okay, I have to say minus 0.64% isn't low neither, so you could still say it's somewhat of a high and high funding fees trade, but it's not like here the minus 1.79 or 2% funding fees. So this was a bit of a different trade. This was more of a vector candle trade, which you know is my main strategy. We saw here an all-time high, the purple stopping volume candle. So this was more of a vector concept trade, but nevertheless still the all-time high and somewhat high funding fees. Again, this is also in the Discord server, this trade with entry, stop loss, TPs, etc. I have to say I thought this was the rug pull. I did expect them to push it back down. Okay, I didn't target all the way down. I had a nice TP level, but I thought I would be done with River right here after 5 trades. Nevertheless, I saw a few days after, they pushed it up again. Slow and steady, but then an exponential move up. And if you saw any patterns in these trades, I like exponential moves up. So I saw this coin again in the top gainers. So I will zoom in a little bit. We see here the exponential push up. If you were paying close attention, you saw this is again an all-time high. So we're sitting at an all-time high. If I pull up my funding rate history, do we see here at 7 p.m. minus 2%. So we're again at an all-time high at maximum funding fees. So I did enter again 1 second after this timer hit 0, in the expectation that this candle would start as the catalyst to push the move back down. So we see they didn't exactly, they pushed it slightly back up, but the next one, this 8 p.m. candle, acted as the catalyst to start a strong pullback. So we were 1 hour too early on this trade. I had to pay this 2%. That's the price you have to pay. You can never know exactly what the market is doing. It's just anticipation, but we stick to the plan. So once again, all-time high, high funding rates. We anticipate on the move down. We hope this acts as a catalyst to make an aggressive pullback. Then after the TP, we saw we made once more another exponential move up. If we zoom in, again, new all-time high. If I pull up my funding fees, what do we see here on this 10 a.m. candle? Again, funding fees minus 2%. Exact same scenario, all-time high. Enter the second after this timer hit 0, so I didn't have to pay these fees, in the hope that this acts as a catalyst to make a strong retrace down. TP-wise, I target my vectors and liquidity zone here, but this again is in the Discord server. So I hope you see the patterns on these trades that I took. It's pretty much always the same. Impulsive move up, sitting at highs, high funding fees. We short right after the funding fees timer hits 0. Because we know people are getting liquidated at these highs. Because they have to pay the funding fees. And we hope that's the catalyst for a strong pullback. You can see strong move up, strong pullback. Strong move up, strong pullback, strong move up, pullback, up, pullback, up, pullback, up, pullback, up, pullback. This is not something only River does. There's a lot of quote-unquote shitcoins that show these exact same patterns. There's always the risk that you will lose a trade and you will have to pay high funding fees, so that's on top of your stop loss. So please, if you do this, be aware. Have a good TP, have a good risk to reward, that your TP is definitely worth the risk and definitely covers all the funding fees you will potentially have to pay as well. For River, I still expect this coin to rug pull. Where that will be, I don't know. This could be the one, who knows. If it pushbacks up to a new all-time high with high funding fees, I will more than likely be shorting again. Like I said, there are some fundamental issues with this coin, so I don't expect it to show a lot of strength in the long term. I do still think it will eventually rug pull, but don't try and catch the rug. Have good TPs where they make sense, chart-wise, and don't gamble on the rug. So I hope that was somewhat clear. and you guys saw the patterns and the concept that I opted for here at this coin. As always, if there are any more questions, please feel free to ask it in the comment section or on the Discord server, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care. See ya. Bye bye.